Hello and welcome to Eye on the Money, the television show that gives you insights into how to improve your financial well-being as well as make your money work for you. I'm Ingrid Nantege. Today on the show, we focus on how to make a quality investment. Now, a high-quality investment is one that offers you good value for investing your money, shilling, dollars, cents. Look at the fundamentals of the investment. Does it have staying power? Is it strong enough to withstand the vagaries of the market and come out ahead? There are many fly-by-night investments with weak fundamentals. You can buy a lot of these investments, but all it means is that you lose a lot of money when the assets lose value. It doesn't matter how much stock you own of a poor company if you aren't getting a good value for your investment dollar or shilling. Instead, you're better off owning fewer shares of a sound investment that is likely to weather the storms and gain over time. Joining me in studio today to help us understand how to make a good investment is none other than Noni Kihagi, founder of Mirror Wealth Coaching. You're welcome to the show, Noni.
Thank you.
First of all, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So we're talking, actually, I'm so glad when I called you and you were very willing to come on the show and you said, why don't we talk about how to make a right investment, how to make a good investment? In my head, I was like, what? You know, when you think of investments, you just think of, I need to invest my money somewhere. Someone comes to you with a proposal. You never, ever really think of, is this a sound investment that I'm making? It's not usually the first thing that comes to mind. So to start the show off, help us understand this concept when you talk about making a sound investment, making the right investment. What does it even mean, and how is it different from any other investment that people make out there?
Okay, so pretty much if we just even start with what is an investment,
Exactly, right.
So an investment is, I'm buying something that I believe over time is going to give me income, or with time it's going to increase in value. Better yet if it can do both of them, right? So if I'm making an investment, I want to make sure that I am choosing the right investment for me. And yes, it's nice that, okay, you've made an investment and you know, at least you've made an investment, very good, but you reach a point where if all you do is invest for investment's sake, you reach a point where you have this portfolio or all these investments that are adding no value to you. You don't even know, is it a good investment? Is it a wrong investment? You really don't know. So making a quality investment is making an investment that will actually meet your needs.
I like that, especially because you mentioned something that made so much sense. Make sure you make the right investment for you. However, Noni, we assume that even when you tell people, oh, make the right investment, make a good investment, they understand how to do this, or like it's an easy process.
Yeah.
Just help us understand, what's that train of thought? What's that thought process that goes into making the right investment? What does someone need to know, and how do you know that you're on track to making a right move?
Okay, first thing first is that you have to know that personal finance is exactly that, personal. So when you're looking at making an investment decision, you're looking at, is this investment going to work first and foremost for me? Right? So just because an investment worked for Ingrid doesn't mean it's going to work for Noni, right? So the first thing first you have to understand is a right investment is a personal investment, right? And what does that mean? That means that it then has to meet a particular need or a particular objective. So your investment should be objective driven. Right? So I'll give you an example, right? If my objective is to invest so that I can go and travel around Africa, then I have to look at, okay, am I going to get into an investment that's actually going to help me meet that goal, right? As opposed to maybe your investment, the reason you're making your investment is maybe you're thinking, I want to buy a house 5-10 years down the line. So that is already a personal decision that you have to make. So everything has to be objective driven first of all. And you know the way we like saying that an investment is making your money work for you rather than you working for your money.
You don't agree?
No, so that is how you make it work for you.
I thought you were going to say, no, that's a misconception. Don't be like everything I knew was wrong.
No, that's how you actually make it work for you. So how do you know it's working for you? You give it work. You literally tell it, this is your job description, right? Noni, in 2020, December, I want to be in South Africa. I'm giving you that work.
The job of my investment is to make sure it gets me to South Africa in December.
Yes. That is how you make an investment. That's where you start. And you first have to, and that means you have to give it an assignment, right? Make your money work for you. Right. I think it's Dave Ramsey who says, tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Right. This is a brilliant example of that. Tell your money where to go. So I say, okay, so I want to go to South Africa December, right? Right. So I look at what I have. Okay, so I have X amount of money. So then I do my calculations. How much will I actually need? Right. Then I now look for an investment that is going to help me reach there, right? Or maybe it will tell me, okay, so for you to do that, maybe there are a series of investments you actually need to achieve that. Right. So a right investment is it going to meet your needs at the basic fundamental level?
I really, really like how you're explaining it. However, even as you talk about an investment being objective driven, make your money work for you, make sure whatever your goal is, it's your investment that takes you there. Noni, and I'm so glad you now we're using phrases that, or parables, or rather synonyms that are used in finance. There's also a phrase that is commonly used where they say, the greater the investment, the higher the return. Or rather, the greater the risk, the greater the return. When we talk about making a quality investment, does that also tie into how much you invest in it? Because there are people who you'll tell, you know, invest here and invest only 10,000 shillings. They'll be like, if I invest 10,000 shillings, really, how much am I going to get back from that? And when you now bring to them another proposal where you tell them, invest 200,000 shillings, they'll say yes. So people have that mentality of the more I invest, the more I'm going to get out of this. Does how much money you put into an investment tie into the quality of the investment that you make? What would be your take on that?
No.
Oh. I mean, I'm going around in circles saying all these things and you're like, no.
No, but again, and this is the thing about investments. Like I say, it's very, very personal, right? You know, there's that saying, is it a methali or whatever, that says, haba na haba hujaza kibaba, little by little, right? And this is what I always say. Because usually people use that as an excuse to not start investing, right? So let me just give a bit of a small story. So
I love stories. Stories always help me understand better. And if I understand, I know my audience is understanding.
Yeah. So when I got into employment, right? So you know, there was that whole Safaricom IPO buzz, right? And I think it was at 5 shillings, the IPO. And then it dropped to 3 shillings, right? And at that time, I was starting my employment journey. So needless to say, my salary was not anything worth writing home about. So what I would do is every month, after I saw it was down to 3 shillings, I said, I'm going to increase my investment in this. And so I would go with just 1,000 shillings to the stockbroker every month. And I would say, I want to buy shares, right? And what that did, it eventually increased my exposure into the shares. And eventually when I ended up selling my stock because it met its objective, what I had was considerably more than what I would have ever had if I had waited to accumulate this lump sum of money. The thing is with investments is pretty much a discipline, right? Start where you are with what you have and watch it grow. And that's even where the beauty even of compounding interest comes in, right? So if someone starts with 1,000 shillings, right? And just imagine even you put that into a money market, right? It earns interest, right?
And people don't like to hear that you can start with little money.
Yeah, you can. So you earn interest. That interest earns interest. But as your interest is earning interest, you're still adding more. So by the time you've compounded your interest, in 5 years' time, my God, how much do you actually have? So what you have to look at is, and one of the things even we look at when you are making an investment decision is, and choosing the right investment, how much do I actually have? Right? So for instance, if I'm starting off with 1,000 shillings now, maybe my objective to be in South Africa by December may not be a bit realistic.
It's a bit far-fetched. Now we're pushing it.
Yeah, that's building castles in the air. But it might tell me, okay, if I continue doing this, and maybe if I put it in a money market or somewhere where interest will earn interest, maybe in 3 years' time, my dream will actually be valid, right? So the amount you actually have at the beginning also helps you to gauge what investment opportunities are available to me. So that's how you should also look at it. And not just wait that because something says, oh, starting point is 200,000 shillings at whoa, that is the place to go. That's not always true. The other thing you mentioned is how people believe the greater the risk, the greater the return. The biggest fallacy there is. The greater the risk, the higher the potential
Return.
For return.
So it's the word potential. Is
Potential has to be there.
It's not a given.
It's not a given because you hope that if you're taking a higher risk, that you will be rewarded for the higher risk you're taking, as opposed to someone who is conservative and is like, I just want to put my money in treasury bills, right? Not much risk you're taking there. So why should someone not be compensated for the additional risk? However,
it's not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee. You could still lose, and even lose more than if you had gone the, what is it called?
Playing
the conservative way. Yeah. So that's something else people have to get into their minds. It's the higher the risk, the higher the potential for return. So don't just hear high risk and you're like,
let's go. How much do I put in here?
This will give me 10%.
Noni, we've talked about what you need to think about before you make an investment. We've talked about you have to tie it to whatever funds you have at the moment. You have to think about your objective. We've talked about all that. However, when we talk about realistically speaking, and also we look at people who've made investment decisions that have really, really gone south, what would you say are the most common mistakes that are out there that people make that end up like making them get stuck in a rut?
The first thing, they don't understand what they're investing in, right? So there's this saying that I can't remember who said it, but I know I read it somewhere.
I love the show. It's a show of sayings.
It is, isn't it? Let's just quote everyone. But it said, if you can't figure out the product, chances are you are the product. Right?
What?
If you cannot figure out the product, chances are you are the product. Nothing. I have come here to give confession. So when I was in university, I actually invested in a pyramid scheme, right?
Yeah. Haven't we all?
But I knowingly entered a ridiculous investment.
Knowingly.
Knowingly.
You're really a business person. They'll try their hand out at everything.
So, and when I was being presented with a pyramid scheme investment, obviously they didn't call it a pyramid.
Yeah, network marketing.
I don't even know what, who knows what it was. When you're asking, so what is the product?
You are.
They don't tell you what the product is. They just tell you, you just bring, if you can bring other two people.
They'll bring an extra bill, and through that chain, you'll be able to earn this.
Yeah, so I always say, understand what you're investing in and go down to the simplest. First of all, what is the product, right? Before even you try and understand exactly what does this do, first of all, what is the product, right? I remember when Bitcoin first came out, and there were so many companies that suddenly sprouted up here, and they were all claiming to be investing in Bitcoin. Yes. But when you actually looked down, no, it was you bring other people, and then
it was another pyramid scheme.
Yeah, so it wasn't even Bitcoin that the actual investment was on. So you want to be very careful, and you want to really dig down. What exactly is the product that's being presented to you? Secondly, you want to understand the product, right? So I'll give you an example. If you do not invest in, if you don't understand cryptocurrency, please don't invest in cryptocurrency. Don't bother.
You will not understand it along the way.
No,
and you have to know from the beginning.
And when you hear Bitcoin has swept off, I don't know how many in billions, you suddenly go like, oh my gosh, and you start panicking, right? If you don't understand the stock market, stay away for that moment. But this is the thing. Don't invest in what you don't understand, but don't let ignorance also deter you from great investment opportunities. Learn. Right? So if you're interested in cryptocurrency, you don't understand it, be like, okay, let me hold off a bit.
And only go back into it when you figured it out.
Learn. I think a lot of times we use also that, I don't understand, to actually keep you away from a great investment opportunity. So you always want to understand what you're investing in. Thirdly, oh my gosh, my clients keep telling me, they say this with me, money is not emotional, right?
I've had that.
So don't make your investment decisions emotionally, because that's what we do, right? And so even that's when I was getting into the pyramid scheme. I knew this was a horrible investment, but fear of please, I knew it.
Okay.
My lecturer was doing a good job with me in university, how to identify.
You knew?
I knew. But what kept me, what what helped me to still get into that horrible investment was fear of missing out, right? I didn't want other people are minting money.
Right, and then you're like, I could have. There was an opportunity.
Yeah, you know, so that's the other thing. Don't be driven by emotions when you're making investment decisions.
Right.
Sometimes it could be that it's your relative or a friend who comes and tells you, oh my gosh, Ingrid, this is the best investment opportunity. And because of the relationship, you just follow the crowd, right? So don't make investment decisions, and also don't go with the hype.
Makes sense. We have to take a very quick break, Noni, but don't go anywhere. I still have to get so much more out of you. We're going for a break, but you can keep the conversation going on our social media handles at Metropole TV KE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll be right back.